Remember when the Magnificent Seven made being a gunslinger look like the coolest job on Earth? 7 men, 1 village, and that feeling like honor was louder than bullets. Yeah, real life didn't play out that clean, because behind those legendary faces, some became icons, some disappeared into the shadows, and some stories ended in ways that hit way harder than any final shootout. So, stick around, because this isn't just about heroes. It's about what happened after they rode off. Eli Wallach. As Calvera, the charismatic but ruthless bandit chief who terrorizes the tiny Mexican farming village in the Magnificent Seven, was brought to the screen by veteran character actor Eli Wallach. Born on December 7, 1915 in Brooklyn, New York, Wallach was 45 years old when he saddled up for the role. He had already earned respect for his work on stage and in serious drama. As Calvera, he doesn't simply sneer and threaten. He jokes with the villagers he robs, lectures them about the natural order, and carries himself like a man who has never once doubted that the world belongs to men with guns. Wallach gives him quick, amused eyes and sudden flashes of cruelty, making Calvera both entertaining and genuinely frightening. Every raid, every taunt reminds the audience how high the stakes are for the helpless villagers, and for the 7 gunmen who agreed to defend them. The role hinted at Wallach's gift for playing dangerous, unpredictable men, something he would later refine as Tuco in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and in films like The Misfits and Lord Jim. Off-screen, he was known as a warm, witty New Yorker who kept working into his 90s. Eli Wallach died on June 24, 2014, aged 98 from natural causes, leaving behind one of the most memorable rogues galleries in movie history, with Calvera standing proudly among his greatest creations. Robert Vaughn. As Lee, the elegantly dressed gunfighter whose nerves are starting to fray, was played by Robert Vaughn, bringing a surprising note of psychological depth to the Magnificent Seven. Born on November 22, 1932 in New York City, Vaughn was just 28 when he took on the role. Yet he imbues Lee with the weary gravitas of a man who has lived by the gun for far too long. Among the 7 hired defenders, Lee is the one acutely aware that his reputation is built on violence he can no longer face with the same icy confidence. Vaughn lets us see the cracks, the restless eyes, the forced bravado, and the quiet admission that fear has finally caught up with him. His journey from paralyzing self-doubt back to courage, culminating in his decision to stand and fight alongside the others, gives the film one of its most poignant arcs. Away from the dusty village, Vaughn's career flourished. He became an international star as suave secret agent Napoleon Solo in The Man from UNCLE, and later worked steadily in film, television, and theater, while earning a doctorate in communications. Robert Vaughn died on November 11, 2016, aged 83 following a battle with leukemia, remembered as one of the coolest and most intelligent presences to ever stride through a Western. James Coburn. As Britt, the silent, razor-sharp knife man, whose calm deadliness fascinates audiences to this day, was portrayed by James Coburn, born on August 31st, 1928, in Laurel, Nebraska. Coburn was 32 when he appeared in The Magnificent Seven, but his long frame, weathered features, and easy physical confidence made him seem like he had always belonged in a saddle. Britt doesn't boast or pick fights. He simply agrees to the job and then lets his skills speak for him. In one of the film's most famous scenes, he coolly accepts a challenge from another gunfighter and proves with terrifying efficiency that his knife is faster than a pistol. Coburn plays him with a dry half-smile and very few words, turning Britt into the embodiment of Western cool, a man who has nothing left to prove and no need to explain himself. The role helped launch Coburn as a specialist in tough, laconic characters, leading to standout turns in The Great Escape, Our Man Flint, and much later, an Oscar-winning performance in Affliction. Off-screen, he was known for his love of jazz, martial arts, and fast cars. James Coburn died on November 18, 2002, age 74, from a heart attack. But his flinty charisma as Britt continues to define the archetype of the effortlessly lethal gunslinger. Rosenda Monteros. As Petra, the gentle yet strong-willed young woman who represents the heart of the besieged village, was played by Mexican actress Rosenda Monteros. Born on August 31st, 1935, in Veracruz, Mexico, she was just 25 when she joined the Magnificent Seven, bringing a warmth and dignity that quietly anchors the story. Petra is no gunfighter, yet her courage is central to the film. She hides in the fields when the bandits come, cares for the children, and despite her fear, dares to hope that things might change when the Seven arrive. Monteros gives Petra an alert, intelligent gaze and a shy smile that gradually opens up as she grows closer to Chico, the hot-headed young gunman. Through their tentative romance, the film hints at a future beyond violence, a life where the village might rebuild and the next generation might know peace. Monteros had already begun carving out a career in Mexican cinema and would go on to work internationally in films and theater, valued for her poise and emotional honesty. Rosenda Monteros died on December 29, 2018, aged 83, from natural causes. Though her role in The Magnificent Seven is modest in screen time, Petra remains one of the film's most human and hopeful figures, a reminder of what all the shooting is really about. Charles Bronson. As O'Reilly. Bernardo. O'Reilly, the rugged gunman with a surprising soft spot for children, was played by Charles Bronson, who brought a mix of toughness and quiet vulnerability to the role. Born on November 3, 1921 in Ehrenfeld, Pennsylvania, Bronson was 39 when he mounted up for the Magnificent Seven. In the film, Bernardo initially signs on for the job out of sheer financial desperation, joking grimly about how poorly gunfighters are paid. Yet, as he works alongside the villagers, he finds himself surrounded by children who idolize him, and something softens. Bronson shows this transformation with small, beautifully underplayed moments. A gruff lecture about courage, a tired smile when the boys cling to him, the dawning realization that they see him as a hero rather than a hired killer. Those scenes give the film some of its most touching beats, revealing the lonely man behind the tough exterior. Bronson would later become an international star in films like The Dirty Dozen, Once Upon a Time in the West, and the Death Wish series, known worldwide for his granite face and minimal, explosive dialogue. He died on August 30, 2003, aged 81, from pneumonia. But his turn as Bernardo remains a reminder that even the hardest Western gunslinger can long for a sense of family and belonging. Horst Buchholz. As Chico, the brash young hothead desperate to prove himself among seasoned killers, was portrayed with infectious energy by Horst Buchholz. Born on December 4, 1933 in Berlin, Germany, Buchholz was 27 when he rode into the Magnificent Seven, bringing a European spark that stands out among his American co-stars. Chico is a farmer's son who wants to escape the plow and become a legend. At first, he is more enthusiasm than skill, constantly boasting and trying to impress Chris and the others. Buchholz plays his insecurity and swagger to the hilt, making Chico both amusing and occasionally exasperating. But as the battle with Calvera intensifies, the character grows up fast. He learns the cost of violence, falls genuinely in love with Petra, and begins to see that true courage is less about glory and more about staying when things are hardest. By the end, when he chooses the village over the drifting life of a gunman, the decision feels earned. Buchholz went on to a busy international career, appearing in Billy Wilder's 1, 2, 3, and later in Life is Beautiful. He died on March 3, 2003, age 69, from pneumonia. His spirited turn as Chico preserves him forever as the young man on the cusp between reckless youth and responsible adulthood. Jorge Martinez, de Hoyos Hilario, one of the humble farmers who decides that enough is enough, was played by Mexican actor Jorge Martinez de Hoyos, adding earthy authenticity to the Magnificent Seven. Born on September 25, 1920 in Mexico City, he was 40 years old when he took on the role. Hilario begins the film as an anxious, powerless man living under the constant shadow of Calvera's raids. Yet, he is also one of the villagers who bravely rides to the border to hire gunmen, setting the whole story in motion. Martinez de Hoyos gives him a quiet dignity. He listens carefully to Chris, wrestles with fear and pride, and gradually finds the courage to pick up a rifle alongside his neighbors. In a film dominated by larger-than-life gunfighters, Hilario reminds us that the true stakes belong to the ordinary people trying simply to survive. The actor's natural, unforced performance helps ground the story in something recognizably human. Beyond this role, Martinez de Hoyos enjoyed a long career in Mexican cinema and international productions, such as The Professionals, becoming one of his country's most respected character actors. He died on the 6th of May, 1997, age 76, from natural causes. Through Hilario, he leaves behind the image of a quiet man who discovers his own bravery when history gives him no other choice. Natividad Vacío. Among the faces in the besieged village is a nameless villager played by Natividad Vacío, whose presence nonetheless contributes to the film's rich sense of community. Born on September 8, 1912 in El Paso, Texas, Vacío was 48 when he appeared in The Magnificent Seven. A familiar supporting player in American television westerns, he brought with him an ease around horses, guns, and dusty streets that makes his brief moments feel completely lived in. Though his character is not singled out by name or dialogue in the way Hilario or Petra are, he helps populate the village with worried fathers, determined husbands, and men who have worked the same earth all their lives. Every glance at the approaching bandits, every fearful huddle during Calvera's raids adds to the sense that this is a real community with real lives at stake. Outside the film, Vacío built a steady career in series such as The Twilight Zone, The Rifleman, and many other staples of mid-century American television, often representing Latino characters at a time when such roles were limited. He died on the 30th of May, 1996, aged 83, from natural causes. His work in The Magnificent Seven may be modest, but it forms part of the textured background that makes the village worth saving. Steve McQueen. As Vin Tanner, the cool, watchful gunfighter who becomes Chris Adams' closest ally, was brought to iconic life by Steve McQueen. Born on March 24, 1930 in Beech Grove, Indiana, McQueen was 30 when he climbed onto that wagon beside Yul Brynner, already radiating the magnetic stillness that would make him the king of cool. As Vin, he's the man who doesn't talk much but notices everything. He quietly checks the weight of the coffin, flips shotgun shells, and sizes up every threat with wary blue eyes. McQueen fills the role with little bits of business that draw the audience's gaze without ever breaking the character's laconic exterior. Vin isn't a show-off, but he clearly relishes the danger, and his dry humor under fire helps define the group's chemistry. The film was a major stepping stone in McQueen's rise, leading to starring roles in The Great Escape, Bullet, and The Thomas Crown Affair. Off-screen, he lived as fast as his screen image suggested, with a love of motorcycles, racing cars, and risk. Steve McQueen died on the 7th of November, 1980, aged just 50, from mesothelioma, a cancer often linked to asbestos exposure. Even so, his performance as Vin Tanner remains one of the purest distillations of his star power. Understated, charismatic, and utterly compelling. Rico Alanis Sotero, one of the Mexican villagers caught between fear and defiance, was portrayed by Rico Alanis, adding another authentic thread to the tapestry of The Magnificent Seven. Born on October 25, 1919 in Juarez, Mexico, Alanis was 41 years old when he appeared in the film. A frequent supporting actor in westerns, he brought a lived-in familiarity with the genre that shows in the way Sotero moves through the village, attends to his work, and reacts to the looming threat of Calvera. Though not a central figure, Sotero stands among the men who must decide whether to rely entirely on the hired gunmen or to risk their own lives in the fight. Alanis' expressive face conveys both anxiety and a growing determination, helping sell the villagers' gradual transformation from victims to participants in their own defense. Beyond The Magnificent Seven, he amassed a long list of credits in television staples like Gunsmoke and Bonanza, often cast as cowboys, townsmen, or soldiers in the classic Hollywood Western era. Rico Alanis died on March 9, 2015, aged 95, from natural causes. His contribution to the film may be subtle, but without actors like him, the village at the center of the A story would feel like a set, rather than a place people truly call home. Brad Dexter as Harry Luck. Harry Luck, the wry, opportunistic gunman who joins Chris Adams with dreams of hidden treasure, was played by Brad Dexter, bringing a slightly more cynical edge to the band of hired heroes. Born on April 9, 1917 in Goldfield, Nevada, Dexter was 43 when he saddled up for the Magnificent Seven. Harry is the man who can't quite believe anyone would risk their life purely out of principle. He is convinced Chris must know about some secret stash of gold and tags along in the hope of sharing it. Dexter plays him as worldly and a touch greedy, but never entirely unsympathetic. He's simply a survivor who has spent too long in a hard world. As the story unfolds, however, Harry is moved by the villagers' plight and by the courage of his comrades, slowly shedding his mercenary motives. When he ultimately sacrifices himself in the final battle, the moment carries real weight because we've watched him change. Outside the film, Dexter enjoyed a varied career in movies like Run Silent, Run Deep, and The Asphalt Jungle, and later worked as a producer and even briefly as Frank Sinatra's bodyguard. Brad Dexter died on the 11th of December, 2002, aged 85 from emphysema. His layered portrayal of Harry Luck rounds out the seven, reminding us that even the most self-interested man can discover a cause worth dying for. Yul Brynner as Chris Adams. Chris Larrabee. Adams, the cool-headed, black-clad leader of the hired gunmen, was immortalized by Yul Brynner. Born on the 11th of July, 1920, in Vladivostok, in what was then the Russian Far East, Brynner was 40 years old when he took command of the Magnificent Seven. Already an international star thanks to The King and I, he brought a commanding physical presence and a quietly magnetic authority to Chris. From the moment he volunteers to drive a hearse up a hostile hill, we understand that this is a man who lives by his own code. Brynner plays him with minimal fuss, clipped speech, steady eyes, a hint of dry humor, and an unshakable sense of responsibility for the men who ride with him and the villagers who put their faith in them. Chris isn't chasing glory or money. He's chasing a purpose in a world that's leaving gunfighters behind. That melancholy honor gives the film its spine. Off-screen, Brynner enjoyed a varied career in Hollywood and on stage, later appearing in Westworld and touring The King and I for years. A heavy smoker, he developed lung cancer and died on October 10, 1985, age 65. His portrayal of Chris Adams remains one of the definitive Western heroes. Stylish, fearless, and bound by a personal honor no outlaw can quite understand. Thank you for watching the entire video. Please subscribe to the channel, like, share, comment, and hit the engage button if you enjoyed this video.